What's up, Trojans? The more things change, the more they stay the same. I haven't made a video in the past few weeks, partly because of a vacation, partly because what's the difference? The only major storyline is that the Giants got rid of Daniel Jones. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen anyway. Cameron Ward is sitting right there in the draft, especially where the Giants are picking now. We keep losing. We could have the first overall draft pick. We're in strong contention for it. And the Giants are doing their best to make that play. I mean, overtime loss to the Panthers, last-second fumble, getting blown out by the Bucs, close loss to Dallas, and now a close loss to the Saints due to a blocked field goal that could have, easily sent the Giants to overtime since it was only like a 40-yarder. Not to mention the 10 points off the board earlier in the game through the punt return touchdown and the field goal that got called back from a penalty. The Giants were in this. The Giants could have won this game against the Saints. Again, as always, the defense is great. The only game the defense wasn't amazing in was the Bucs. But the Panthers' defense, not bad. Not great either, I guess I'll say that. But, this game against the Saints, defense was great. Bucs, obviously not good. There's no excuse for giving up 30 points. Dallas, they could have been better too. But the Saints, I mean, come on. This defense held them to a very winnable margin, and this offense couldn't do it. And it was so sad that the offense couldn't do it, too, because Drew Lock actually led a couple decent drives. But the one inexcusable play, as we all know, is where easy first down. It's staring him right in the eyes. And what does he do? He just jogs to the right for some inexplicable reason. I mean, just gives up the first down and gets tackled. I mean, if he just ran forward for those 4 extra yards, the Giants have a first down there. He could have slid even. What was he scared of? The hit? He slides, takes the hit. That's an extra 15 as far as I'm concerned. What? Think of the team, my guy. And then, you know what? Here's the worst part, though. And this is why the season's action in shambles. Because Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll are on the chopping block. All of a sudden, Joe Schoen has no excuse for being on the chopping block. He's only 3 years in. I don't see a scenario where the Giants actually get rid of him. I think he's done a decent job. His last draft especially is amazing. Malik Neighbors has proven himself. Tyler Nubin's proven himself. And Drew Phillips has proven himself already. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, as always, is a great defensive end. He had the sack again today against the Saints. Brian Burns, too, a huge pickup in this offseason. Came in huge. He re-signed Dexter Lawrence. He re-signed Andrew Thomas. And yes, I know he re-signed Daniel Jones and then got rid of him. He didn't re-sign Barkley the way he should have. And he didn't re-sign Xavier McKinney. But look, you can only get so much out of a general manager. And with some of these things, I don't think these players would be playing the same way on the Giants as they would with other teams. Daniel Jones has had so much handed to him, especially the last couple seasons, and not been able to capitalize on it the way he did in 2022, that I feel like it's on him. However, Saquon Barkley didn't have a good O-line until he went to the Eagles. Xavier McKinney didn't have a good defense in the secondary until he went to the Packers. That's how you see these changes in these players. And that's just not the case for some of these other guys that are now on the team, and that's just not the case for Daniel Jones, who had to leave the team in a horrible fashion. But that makes the case for Joe Schoen, in my opinion. I think he needs to just stick around for another year or two. And Brian Daboll is the only one on the chopping block, in my opinion, because it is inexcusable that Malik Neighbors is making comments on social media, in the press conference and stuff, saying, I don't care if I drop the ball, just keep throwing it to me and just demanding the ball. Like, you drafted him knowing he had this attitude, and you can't control it now. This is on you guys. Daboll and Schoen made that decision together, and Malik Neighbors is amazing. It requires a head coach to get him to a point where he's not saying this and get this team winning. And Brian Daboll's failing on that right now. So I get it if Brian Daboll stays another year. I would probably lean on that side myself because Schoen and Daboll seem to work well together. But you can't lose the locker room like this. And the other huge example from the game against the Saints is Drew Lock not hitting that first down. When he was running, he could have easily had it. He runs to the right, doesn't get it. He goes to the sideline, and Brian Dable just makes that hand motion like, you could have kept running forward, my guy. And he just puts his hand up and sits on the bench. And Dable does nothing. Meanwhile, on the Saints sideline, their head coach gets pissed off at the punter of all people for not making a tackle and kicking a bad punt. Even though the play meant nothing to the Saints, it got called back. It might as well have been the best punt ever. But no, he settles for nothing less than the best. Meanwhile, on the Giants, we're like, oh, man, why didn't you get that first down? Oh, you're mad at me? Oh, you just go sit on the bench right over there. That's fine. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to do anything. Meanwhile, in 2022, Brian Dable chewed Daniel Jones out for throwing an interception in the red zone. That man led a drive all the way down the red zone, threw an interception on the last play, and chewed him out because that's what he deserved, and that's what motivated him to win the game in the end. Yeah, it took huge plays from Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley. That game was amazing against the Titans. That was primetime Brian Dable right there. Where is that guy? Where is he? He's not coaching the Giants right now. We'd be winning if that guy was coaching the Giants. No. So, I completely understand it if the Giants want to part ways with Brian Dable at this point, because that is not the same guy this team had in 2022. It's just not. Meanwhile, Joe Shane, he's actually been getting more acquainted with the role as general manager, if his last draft class has anything to say about that. Malik Nabers has proven himself to be a very competent wide receiver. Tyler Nubin is a great safety. And Drew Phillips is a solid corner. Those are the first 3 picks this guy made in the draft this year, and all 3 are hits. Not to mention Theo Johnson even. Kayvon Thibodeau, again, I can't emphasize this enough. He's one of my favorite players on the team right now. He's there. He's doing things. He got a sack today even. Picked up Ryan Burns in free agency. Joe Shane is able to get guys that help this team, and he has been hindered by a cap. He's been hindered by Daniel Jones' existence. You can blame him, you should have just, done the 5th-year option in the first place because you thought he might have been decent. Have him for the extra year. Quarterback, $25 million for a quarterback that might be okay. That's got to be worth it. Yeah, if he just did that, wouldn't have had to re-sign him after 2022, would have just paid them $25 million, then been able to cut him after 2023. These things happen. But that could happen to anybody. You had no idea who Daniel Jones was going to be after 2021. So, of course, you just had to let that play out in 2022. And, of course, Daniel Jones just happens to have the best year of his career in 2022 and lead the Giants to the playoffs almost single-handedly with that offense. I mean, Joe Shane couldn't turn a team around overnight, so Daniel Jones just had to play better, and of course he did. Led the team to the playoffs, and that led to a huge contract, and of course that led to Daniel Jones being a huge disappointment in the next 2 seasons. And now we're where we are. That's just where we're at right now. And who's going to save us? Hopefully a quarterback in the draft. Hopefully it's Cameron Ward. That's the guy I think it'll be. I think Cameron Ward has proven himself to be a very solid quarterback in college. Not to say there's not others. Shedeur Sanders, of course, very highly thought of quarterback. Not my guy personally, but I'd be all for it if the Giants drafted him. Even first overall, I could get behind it. It's not the end of the world if they go with that. Any of the other guys, however, you could trade back and get them. There's draft capital to be had by messing around at that pick. And it would just seem wild to me to go all in on any other quarterback beside those 2. But that's just my thoughts. I can't really speak too much on the game because what really happened, same thing as always. The Giants' defense is the Giants' defense. I think personally it would be a shame to see Shane Bowen go. I think he's actually a pretty good defensive coordinator. Everything Brian Dable said on Hard Knocks about him has kind of converted to the Giants, except for that random play in the red zone today where stuff happened and the guy was just wide open for the easiest touchdown of his entire career. But, that's just what the Giants do every now and then. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the blue jerseys. Maybe it's the turf. I actually think it's the turf. You saw Malik Neighbors go down on that one play. Maybe it is just the turf. Who knows? But I'm pretty close to wrapping this one up because even though I haven't made a video for like 4 games, what is there to say? The Giants aren't a great team right now. We have a backup quarterback in. It's just to analyze Malik Neighbors on every single play because it's the only thing we have to look forward to. I'm supposed to analyze every single run from Tyrone Tracy. I'm just not that guy. The offensive line is a Giants offensive line, not great. Probably ranked 20th if I had to guess. They were doing great earlier in the season. I feel like they've actually regressed throughout the year. That's just going to happen with injuries throughout an NFL season. So, the one knock on Joe Shane is he doesn't have amazing backups at that. But no Giants general manager seems to have gotten that right in the last 12 years. So, can't really fault him on that. And that's where the team's at right now. Just the last 4 games, all losses, all looking forward to a nice draft pick from the Giants. And, nothing new to say, really. So, see you guys in the next one.